and I'm not going to ask you your name because we don't do that with young kids, okay? And let me just wait. So, first off, can you tell me what your favorite science subject is?
Explosions.
And if you could be a scientist, what kind of scientist do you think you might be?
One like Mr. Freeze.
And have you ever met a scientist in real life?
Yes.
And who was it?
My grandpa.
And what type of science does your grandpa do?
We experimented on how to make a light bulb.
Cool. And what did you learn?
We learned that it doesn't need the bulb part. If you just have the wires inside the filament, then it can still glow as long as you have the battery.
Awesome. Okay, and what do you think makes someone a scientist?
Doing experiments.
Great. Thank you so much for talking to me today. Okay. Hi there. So first I'm going to ask you, do you think science is fun or important or weird or boring? What do you think about science and why?
I think it's interesting and important because then it can help us maybe be more safe, or it's interesting so much fun.
And have you ever met a real scientist before?
No.
And if you could be a scientist, you know what type of scientist you might like to be?
Not really.
And what do you think kids might be able to do to help save the environment?
Recycle, I guess.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to ask you some questions about science today. Great, thank you. So what's your favorite subject in science?
Probably like the world.
The world?
Yeah, so, and pretty much all.
Okay, great. And if you could be a scientist, what kind of scientist would you be?
One that studies rocks, because I like rocks.
Rocks, okay. Any particular rocks or anything about rocks that you like?
No, they're just, some rocks are cool to look at, and some rocks you have to kind of have to find, so it's fun to look for them.
And have you ever met a scientist in real life?
No.
Okay. And can you name any famous scientists?
Albert Einstein.
Okay. And then, you want to say something about Albert Einstein?
No.
Okay. And what do you think that kids can do to save the environment?
Try to not watch as much electronics and save energy.
That sounds great. Anything else you want to tell me about science today?
Just that I like that rocks are pretty cool to look at and collect.
Great. Here we go. I'm filming. And my first question I like to ask is, what's your favorite subject in science?
How the body works.
How the body works? And why is that? What is it about that science that you like?
It fascinates me how the body moves and the way it is able to do things in life. It's like swimming. What muscles are needed to move your arms, legs, think, and how you breathe, how your heart pulses, and many other things.
Great. Wow. If you could be a scientist, what kind of scientist would you be?
I'd probably be a paleontologist.
And why is that?
I love dinosaurs. I've loved them for years. I have a lot of dinosaur toys. I like to play with them a bunch. And they always fascinated me since I was about 3 or 4.
Great. And so what do you think about science? Do you think it's interesting and important? Do you think it's weird and boring?
I think science could change the universe.
Wow. And what do you think kids can do to save the environment?
Well, I think a big first step is whenever you cut down a tree, maybe you should plant another tree in its place somewhere else. That would be a tip for woodsmen. Or you can go out and for the adults, you can make wildlife sanctuaries. You can not pollute waters, you can recycle more. You can do go collect trash from the nearby parks. You can do many things. Those are just a few that you can do.
That's great, thank you. And then, what makes someone a scientist?
Well, first of all, if you love what you're doing, that's always a plus. And when you learn something new, if you're excited about it and you talk about it, people are going to learn things. The more you know, the more other people are going to know.
That's great, thank you so much. Anything else you want to say?
Good luck.
Thank you, I need it. Okay, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions and just answer as you will. So, what's your favorite subject in science?
My favorite subject is the plant.
Is what?
It's about like the living creatures.
Oh, living creatures and plants? And why is that your favorite subject?
Because living creatures is all over the earth. That's why it's my favorite subject.
And if you could be a scientist, what kind of scientist would you want to be?
I want to be like animal science.
And what do you think about science? Do you think it's hard or easy or important or weird or boring? What do you think about science?
Fun, weird, important.
And why is that?
Everywhere in our life.
And what do you think kids can do to help save the environment?
They could just put in their garbage in garbage can and stop playing with all the leaves and put it back.
And what do you think makes someone a scientist?
The curiosity.
Curiosity?
Yeah.
And do you think anyone could be a scientist? Why do you think that?
Because science is all over our life.
Great. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me about science?
No.
Or what you're doing here today?
No.
Okay.